Alright guys, one thing I want to bring to your attention when you're building your shocks, the pistons are different for the front versus the rear. The front is going to have a piston top that's got 4 bleed holes or breather holes, whatever you want to call them, and the rear is going to have one with 6. So just be aware that you get the right ones. Obviously they're the same size, but one's going to have 4 holes and one's going to have 6 holes, 4 and 6. So 4-hole front, 6-hole rear. Just be aware. Alright guys, I want to point something out that's kind of a cool and a nice thing that Axial does with this kit. Maybe they do with others, but I haven't noticed this before. Just FYI, the top, or really the bottom to the shock, this little end cap, this happens to be 15 millimeter, so if you want to use something, if you have a socket or a box wrench or something like that that works, obviously that's the size you need. But on this parts tree AX31031, there's this little piece right here. See this here? And it happens to be a little wrench. You've got a 5.5 millimeter end, a 3.5 millimeter end, and then this center piece here is perfect size for the top of the shock, so you can twist it on. I've checked it real quickly. The 5.5 millimeter works for your turnbuckles. I hadn't checked for the 3.5 millimeter, but at least the 5.5, so that's, you can adjust the turnbuckles on this, and this acts as a wrench for the top of the shock. So just a nice little add-on feature that they have in here, so now you'll know about it. Alright guys, just like the pistons in the shocks, you've got different shock weight oils for the front and rear. 30 weight front, 10 weight rear. So just remember, front, rear, 30 front, 10 rear. So just so you know. Alright guys, just kind of a funny little incident that just occurred. So I was filling the rear shock with the oil, filled it up, pushed the piston up into the shock, and then was going to pull it back down to bleed some of the air out. Well, I did that, and I did it on the first 2 shocks. I've done it on every other shock I've built and never had an issue. This time I pulled it down, and as I was pulling it down, just like I always do, it just suddenly let go, and it shot shock oil all the way out. All 6 holes that are in there just literally shot out and shot all the way up to the light. Nailed the light, and then it was just dripping down on top of my manual and everything else. You can kind of see there's a little bit of sheen on this, so just be careful when you're doing that. It might let go, so just be careful. You don't need oil on your light fixture. Alright, when you're building your shocks, take note that there are different springs for the front and rear of both sizes. Your large springs and your small springs, they're different. They're color coded. There's a little bit of color here on the ends to kind of tell you what the rears are going to be. The large ones are going to be green, the small ones are going to be red. On the front, they're yellow and white. So just be aware of that, so you make sure you get the right springs in the right place.